Now, if I were to pose you an easy question, two questions, and they were like this: which is most likely to be true according to, like, let's say you asked a monotheistic person or an Islam person. It could be a Christian or a Jewish. Which is more likely to be true? One plus one is two, and we all know the theory of numbers, or God is true, or their God is true, or however you want to phrase it. You even phrase it under the Quran. Is it true? Blah blah blah. Even if you were make it more simple. Now, it'd be a good thing if they say, well, math, okay, or you might get a little nervous if they hesitated one way or another. But you might want to get nervous if they said God because of these few reasons. First, it shows the example that these two things, two routes, there's no really much room to compromise into their set the mentality, even if they claim that their God is the way to peace. You know what I mean? Because if I were to say something on math, well, show me the most simplistic of math that would be a form of peace or non-peace. It'd be something like this: if I owed you, if you owed me 2 billion, and then one day you said, no, I just owe you 1 billion, there could be a problem. Okay, and then I could easily list why. You see what I'm saying? Now, whether you want war to go over money or some type of jail time, okay, I could see how you could do jail time over not paying back someone $1 billion. But that's a slightly different issue. But at least it won't be as bad as the other issue, which they're right, because if you go against them, then they could say, well, your punishment will be eternal hell. So there's really no comparison. So I could say on the money side, well, I could say it could justify to kill you, but it wouldn't be as bad as saying you're going to go to hell forever. Now, I could make this dimension about it because even though you want to steer away from totalitarian ideas within the concept of monotheism, you can put them on this edge because what is the assumption is, oh, science will never disagree. It's like saying all facts are truths, but all truth are not facts, which is nonsense. Because in the monotheistic, let's say it's Christendom, they think, well, you got the truth, like you say, Christ, and you got math, but that the math will never contradict. But this is more of a truth, the Christ. But there's a false assumption in that. You can put them in the middle on a totalitarian idea because which their own doctrine would say there is no concept out there, not even science, that God is in competition with. You see what I'm saying? That's why it says all thoughts, all emotions, all things will come to the judgment of God. All things, everything, even your assumptions. So you can't put them on that totalitarian doubt or on that totalitarian point. You have to make a decision because if you you have to choose the religious side because you can't say, well, it's just agreeing with this. The science, math is just simply agreeing with this. You know what I'm saying? But that's not what the religions teach. There is no competition. So when you ask the original question, what is most likely to be true? Well, it's easy to say concept of 1 plus 1 is 2. But to say, well, if they choose God, or even if they're in the middle, you should get nervous because they're being more too ecumenical, they're not really going according to their doctrine. They're more appeasing. Whereas they said, like the Amalekites, we should go snuff them all out. You know, and if a person said, yes, it still applies, I could say, well, boy, that is a person who really believes this to be the word of God. And that would be true because that's what God said. And it also goes with things like slavery. Obviously, it talks about slavery. It talks about genocide, you know, and homosexuality. I mean, uh, it's strange that a lot of these monotheistic views are getting really liberal. Okay, it's an interpretation issue. Okay, so once you get past the little, like certain type of interpretation that's very strong, well, you can start picking and choosing anything. And in the world, that would be a progress of a source, because at least it's taken away the fangs and leaving just the good things of the monotheistic, which is fine. So you should get nervous bringing this back to the beginning, if to pose the question, which is easier to believe. And when you look at these, you can't make that decision because it's a doctrinal issue. And you should get nervous, even if they hesitate, and you should really get nervous because these things really aren't compatible. That they say, well, I believe God to be true. But they'll usually just, which is a good thing, they'll usually just say, well, it won't contradict science or blah, 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 blah. That's progress of a source, because clearly it's a doctrinal issue that you can't even pose a question. In fact, in some religions, if you impose the questions, you could be killed, because how can you even question on any format your particular God? Okay, thanks, guys.